Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. Roll top wire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you guys buy it. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. But the markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning. Oh my gosh. Where's my camera? You can't see me. You can't see me. Wait, hold on. There we are. How you doing? Hey, guys, we got the Federal Reserve meeting today. But before that, we've got, here in about 3 minutes, we've got a bunch of news. And I do not know what is going on because the Treasuries just moved up from 119.22 range that they've been in overnight and it just got sucked right up to 120 here quite quickly. I don't know what would be driving that. I do not see anything on my news feed that would suggest to me that Treasury markets would come up like that. That is a little odd. Oh, Corbs had him. That's interesting. I told Corbs to go get fucked. No, I didn't tell him that. I was really nice about it. I was like, I want to be involved with you. Oh, that's kind of weird. Okay. Back to the volume profiles. ES. Okay, so here's the Treasury. So we're not nearly as high as we were yesterday. Okay, so let's just keep that in mind. But we did have a little bit of a move. They might be front running some of this news that we're about to get. Okay, and then we'll just check the ES here real quick too. ES getting hit pretty hard from earnings yesterday, but recovering a lot of that overnight. Natural gas spiking yesterday, silver and gold still kind of in their ranges. So nothing too interesting outside of that. Bitcoin recovering here, and the 6E still high, 106. So we got 10 seconds here. U.S. durable goods, wholesale inventories. And then later today, we've got pending home sales. So we have a decent slate of economic data here today on a Federal Reserve meeting day, which is really interesting. Okay, now they're getting creamed on 1.9% U.S. durable goods. So them getting smacked down there by the durable goods being high. Maybe all of that movement was based on the durable goods predictions. This is interesting action. So the order book is quite light. I mean, they've only got 500s out there. U.S. durable goods is a significant news event, but it usually doesn't create this much volatility. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the liquidity looks like right now. the S&P 500 is not moving nearly as much, right? It's the Treasury complex that's moving here, which is very interesting. We are still, I mean, interest rates 2.8, they're still quite low. They're quite low, although we've got a pretty weird inversion in the yield curve, right? Because the 2-year is higher than the 5. It hasn't inverted on the 10 and 30 though. Has just like so the 2-year is inverted compared to everything else. But wait, is that a yes? It is on the benchmark rates. We have an inversion between the 2 and the 30. That's something else. The way that the yield curve is going to move off of today's FOMC is like, oh man, I can't even. So, by the way, we got everything set up here, right? Okay, yeah, we do. Cool. Do you guys? We should do the music again, huh? That's the thing I'm forgetting. What are we gonna do? Well, we could do chill step. Chill step isn't too bad. Yeah, you almost forgot about the music. How's that? That's almost a little bit too chill. Don't you think that's maybe a little bit too chill? I don't know. Nah, this good. We can just deal with this. And here's what we'll do is we'll have a poll and we'll say music, yes, no, add option, yes, but different station. Okay, ask your community. We'll do that today, so we get a better idea of how you guys feel about the music. Because when we did this in the past, the conclusion that I came to was like, well, it's better to keep it silent so that people can put their own music on. But I think that for new viewers, that having a little bit of music to be sure that like something's actually going on the stream, because sometimes you might come in and I'm being quiet, right? Good morning, Jacob. Yeah, so Jacob, you asked me a question last night, and I did respond to it, but we could go deeper into that today. I'm a little bit distracted in the back of my mind because I had done an interview with Gary, which was quite successful, and I would like to do other interviews, but I kind of put that on the shelf because I wanted to make all these other videos first. And there was somebody that had reached out to me to do some sort of collaboration. I told them no because I did not like what their marketing looked like, and they did an interview with somebody. I was like, well, I could do a better job. I don't know if I want to do that right now. So that's kind of in the back of my head, but. It's relevant to what you're talking about, because what Jacob had asked me was, what do you think about trading without charts, right? So the thing is, if you look at my screen, I have a chart of the dollar index because that's the only way that I can see what the dollar is. And I have the chart of the S&P 500 that we just barely added because we thought that maybe more people would follow the stream if they saw the S&P 500 chart up and that was something that felt familiar to them, right? If professionals do not have one up, why should we per se? Right. Well, so here's what you got to consider. A couple of things on this, right? Is it hard to use indicators for newbies? Are you talking about my indicators or just indicators in general? So my indicators, I have a couple of indicators that I think are, if you're new, you'll figure out what they're about quite quickly. And quite frankly, I don't understand how people are trading without these things, like particularly my spread charts and my dollar index. I don't know how people trade without that. But I also have a lot of indicators that are very advanced and are more for people wanting to kind of try and dig into the order flow in ways that other tools can't. So I kind of have both, right? So why trade without a chart? But are there actually important levels? Are there actually important levels? Like that's the whole thing. But no, I think you're on the right track there, Jacob. Professionals do trade differently though, right? Yeah. So if you're a professional, okay, so the first thing is we kind of have to separate out what is a professional. Okay. So the kind of professional that John Grady is talking about is a prop shop. And the reality is that prop shops, the way that John Grady learned to trade, don't really exist anymore. They just don't. Those were something where a lot of what those guys were doing got eliminated by the robots. Okay, you have to understand that. Understanding the way that they were playing that game is, I think, a really important piece of the puzzle. But you just got to realize that a lot of what they were doing is not the same because the robots came and took all of that business, right? There's other professionals. You know, there's so many different ways that professionals trade, right? I am a little bit more familiar, or kind of the way that I was taught came from the block traders, right? Well, a block trader is not coming out and watching the S&P 500 for some specific signal setup that tells him that now it's time to go and get long. The way that a block trader works is he already has one side of the transaction done. He has some group, some fund that wants to buy or sell a huge section of stock, and you know, he knows the price that they're trying to get for it, and he executes off of that. That's a very different game, right? In that game, the thing that matters the most is how well you execute the block. You will have an impact on the market when you execute, and so they have all sorts of tricks and math and so forth to help them execute and have the lowest impact on the market as possible, right? So that's a different kind of professional. But like, right, they don't, that professional, he probably doesn't look at a chart either, right? A lot of this stuff that we're talking about is like arbitrage, essentially, right? So if you're doing arbitrage, you don't care what it was 5 minutes ago. You don't care what pattern it is and everything. I mean, like, you want to keep in mind the context, but that's not the signal that you get, right? The signal that you get is that there's some sort of aberration in the pricing, that one of these instruments is out of sync with the others, and that I have an opportunity to bring them back in line, right? And that's kind of the basis of that style of trading. And so that's why you wouldn't use a chart, right? So why do we use a chart? Well, so first of all, understand I don't rely on it very much. I don't rely on my charts very much, but I don't look for patterns. I don't come and look at my chart that we've got going on right now and say, okay, we moved up and we moved down and now we moved up and I want to see a 50% retracement of this and then go short and it's going to come down, and or that's the way that a technical analysis trader would work. Or they would say like, now this was an outside bar and now we have an inside bar and that's the signal for me to get long or short, right? I don't do that either, right? Because I understand that these robots, they don't look at that. They're just looking at relative value, right? But what I do look at is I need to remember what happened, right? I need to remember what happened. I don't know why they bought into this news, but they did buy. There was some buying going into the news. And then when the news hit, they sold pretty hard. It was quite a bit of volatility, but the order book was very, very light, right? And that to me is just like the context. So, but that's not the only thing, right? That just reminds me where we're at and like what the current situation is. That's the only reason for it. But if I take a trade, what are the trades going to be based on today? Well, there's a Federal Reserve meeting today. It's a big moment for Treasuries. There might be, we often do see order flows come in those days that are quite directional. So I'm going to be on the lookout for some sort of hedging flow ahead of that FOMC meeting that I can possibly take advantage of, right? And preferably, I'm going to see, strong order flow that's heavily correlated, suggesting that some block order is being executed, right? Today is a day. I don't know if it's going to be a buy or a sell, so I don't know if, since I don't have a really strong directional bias at the moment, I may just kind of sit on my hands if it happens, but that's what we're going to be on the lookout for, right? So what is the long and short of that? What's like the too long didn't read of that? Past market data is not very effective at predicting future market data, and profitable trading usually involves bringing in information from outside of the market to make your decisions. Ergo, you want to find predictors of order flow, things that will actually cause people to buy or sell, right? That's when I say predictive. When I say predictive, I mean this event directly causes this event, right? It's not like if I go through all of the past data, when X thing happens, there's a certain percentage chance of this thing happens, right? That to me is correlation, right? Correlation does not prove causation. But when I say that something is predictive, that says to me that I have a very high degree of certainty, or what would be the correct way of saying this? I have a reason to believe that the correlation does prove causation. That this event, this thing, this piece of information is highly likely to induce people to buy or sell. That's what I mean by predictive, right? You want to have a predictive piece of information. Okay, can you talk about how the dollar index affects the bond market? Yeah, it's really important. So generally speaking, first of all, everything that we're trading is priced in dollars, okay? So how can you trade without knowing what your currency is worth, right? Now, how the dollar affects the treasuries in particular is a really complicated thing, I must say, because I've seen it do all sorts of weird correlations and stuff with each other that don't make sense. Generally speaking, remember the other day when I was joking with Akshay and he was saying, "Are you long the dollar?" And he's like, "Well, because I hold all of these bonds and I'm doing this basis trade, by its very nature, I'm long the dollar somewhat, right?" So generally speaking, the higher the dollar is, the more demand there will be for treasuries. So dollar up, treasuries are going to go up as well, right? But, there's all sorts of strange correlations. So like, when would they go opposites? Well, for instance, there could be a piece of economic news that comes out that is really bad. well, let's not say really bad, but it's economic news that is bad, and it kind of suggests that the Federal Reserve will not be able to raise rates as high, and that investors will have less reason to invest in U.S. stocks, right? You see a divergence to them, right? You're going to see the dollar go down and the treasuries go up, right? So when I'm watching the dollar here, I'm kind of more interested in it in kind of like the quiet times, right? If I see the treasuries move and it kind of like, it doesn't seem like there's any good reason for it to be moving. It just kind of does it, and it's not even like a ton of volume. Like, it just ticks down on like very, very little volume. Just like the market makers all of a sudden, just to screw you over, just let it fall through. The first thing I do is I look for currency correlations. I look at my dollar, see if that moved, and then if it did move, I'm gonna see, was it the euro or was it the Japanese yen? Because those are the two most important components, right?
Or a stylish paperclip chain. Your gift will capture your sentiment.
Higher interest rates good for dollar versus bad. Oh, no, that's not what I was saying. Live action. I was saying that there could be economic news that could mean lower interest rates, but lower dollar, right?
What's not, and what's somewhere in between. And this season,
so it would be a situation where people would buy treasuries and sell the dollar,
should we be wearing
right?
homemade masks, like from t-shirts?
Whereas generally speaking, dollar higher, treasuries higher.
Listen for free on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Science VS.
There are many countries that will have problems if the dollar rises further because of their dollar debt. Well, yes, but I wouldn't be looking for like the world to end or anything like that. You know what I mean? I mean, there's a lot of debt out there, but there's a lot of these guys have room. Like, so what is it? Italy's like the worst one, right? Okay, yeah. Italy has 134% debt to GDP ratio. And the generally agreed upon level by economists, and I don't know if there's any kind of research to back this up. This is just the way that they talk about it, is that when you get to 200% of debt to GDP, that's when you're in trouble, right? So even though you're correct that it is a problem, they're not anywhere near any kind of crisis level that would force action by some country, right? Thomas, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. But a good group of people. Oh yeah, I missed the comment. Mike Armstrong, do you trade crypto futures? What do you prefer more, crypto or non-crypto? So I absolutely prefer non-crypto stuff. So I have never tried to day trade Bitcoin. I don't think that it's a good day trade. I really don't. I understand why so many people would be interested in it. I mean, it's got the volatility, but you notice that I don't like volatility in general. When volatility starts to get high, I usually peace, right? Like what I would like to do, like the way that I would prefer to trade is get in when things are quiet, pick the direction correctly, and then when things get volatile, get out, right? And then let everybody else deal with the aftermath. I would prefer to do that. Or if I'm not going to get that one, the second one would be let the crazy thing happen and then pick up the pieces afterwards. So that's kind of what we're doing today. Last night on TikTok, one of my videos did fairly well. At least it's actually really exciting to me. I'm really happy that even though my overall views are still about the same, like I get about 1,000 views per video, if that, but way more comments on the videos. And that's so much more fun for me when I get questions and we have stuff to talk about, because it's hard to know what people want to talk about. Like what I think about and my brain is like very, very different from other people, right? Like the big problem that I have is that everything that I do is based around like the things that I did, and how do you translate that into other people and getting other people interested in it is a real puzzle to solve. Although I think I'm getting a lot better at it, right? So I kind of gave my preview about the Federal Reserve meeting today, and all of the comments were like, okay, but like, is it going to go up or down? No, like that's not the point, guys. Like the whole thing is that because the market is so certain that it's going to be 75 basis point, although it's less certain than it usually is, but it's almost certainly going to be 75 basis points. I don't know if Powell is going to say anything that lets us know how likely are they to raise in September and November and December, all that stuff, right? So it could be the case that Federal Reserve meeting that you don't get any new meaningful information, but I can guarantee you that the market is going to move. I would be extremely surprised. I don't know if he's not. I don't think he's here yet. If when Salim comes in, dude, if the market doesn't move big time off of whatever happens Federal Reserve today, we're going to be really shocked. It might not be like an excessive move when they release the interest rates thing. It might not even be a significant move during his press conference if he doesn't say anything meaningful. But the market is going to move over the next 3 days. It's going to move. There is definitely some pent-up volume, and if it doesn't move, if it just like it happens and we don't go anywhere, I'm gonna be really, really shocked and eat my words and be like the most wrong I've ever been, right? That's coming in, but you know, tomorrow and the day afterwards, when we have all of the information, we understand the way that it's going to affect the flows, and we can identify some flows that might be persistent and we can ride, right? We're coming in and picking up the pieces afterwards instead of coming in and taking the big bet, right? Because I don't really know what they're going to say beyond what the market is priced in, right? With the music, will there be dancing? No. I'm not really a dancer. I am a DJ. We might get to the point where when we get a new desk, I would need to have my controls closer to me, but we might do at some point live mixing. What do you think about trading the overnight? Okay, so Thomas, if you're gonna do the overnight, I would look at trading the S&P 500 from when the London market opens until the US market opens. So my mentor, before he passed on, that's what he was doing, and he was quite successful with it. Of course, it was kind of in more favorable times, right? he kind of missed out on the collapse. But you know, the London market opening in particular can bring you some flows. So that's where your best opportunities there are in the overnight. But you got to be careful about it, because yeah, there are some times in overnight trading where liquidity is really poor, and that can really screw you over, right? That can really screw you over. I think I answered all those questions. I don't know. I was thinking back if we answered Jacob's question well enough. I think we did. We got into detail about it. But there was one other thing that I wanted to share about it, and that was that I've done this experiment where for a month or however many months we're like, oh, we're just gonna not have any charts. And it's always kind of been a theme on the channel, like, well, why do we even have charts up, right? But I didn't notice any difference, right? And the places where I kind of saw the biggest differences in my own trading was when I started to rely more on what is the breaking news and reading as much news content as I could. That made a really big difference in my trading. and watching the spreads more closely and the dollar more closely, and like looking for correlations, right? Relative value plays, you know. I think, for instance, right now, you know, 10-year maybe could be up a tick, right? There might be an arbitrage opportunity for you there, 31.5. Nobody's hitting it, which I think is interesting. Okay, somebody hit 31.5. So will you get the fill, or sorry, 31? Will you get the fill 31.5? No, not that turn. Maybe. Well, now I think you're probably got an even stronger case that you're gonna get it. The 10-year is lagging though. Now somebody's hitting it back. They're like, no, we're gonna prove you wrong, Seth. Okay. Somebody wants to sell the 10-year, it seems, because it is lagging compared to the other two. You see that? This is the sort of thing that we're talking about when we're talking about arbitrage. Right here. Oh my gosh, that sound in that song made me like, it's a weird sound in it. I was like, is there something wrong with my headphones? Well, you're not doing, I mean, it's still right there at 31. So far, if we had taken a trade here, 31.5, I'd say the trade is going less than optimal. Maybe that big order at 120 is, they're kind of shying away from it, is probably a little bit of what's going on here, but I don't know. If they were to bust through that, would they like really bust through it? I mean, they've already been through it once, so I don't know if that actually matters. Ooh, see, it's trying to prove me wrong. So I think one of the problems here with this one was that I was not too aware of what the larger trend is. So that's maybe a reason. Well, I think that's probably why I didn't want to like click in myself with a sim trade. But like the kind of the 10-year lagging, it's still there, right? Do it. We'll see. They could just come crashing down here, so I gotta be careful, but the 30-year is kind of staying up.
Give every morning a fresh start with a Jimmy Dean Delights breakfast. They're chock full of protein and ingredients you want. From wraps to bowls to sandwiches. You'll never have the same old again.
We're delighted and hope you will try.
3M science is everywhere. It's the fall protection harness that helps keep rescue workers like New secure at any altitude so he can get home safe.
I don't know. I feel like I'm trying to teach something, but the reality is that I don't know if we really have anything that will really give us a good idea of what direction we're going right now in the Treasury.
Can reimagine what's possible. See how
So I don't know if this trade is actually a good one.
everywhere at 3m.com.
So the way that the tape is moving here. Interesting is advertising other music on Spotify. Like one of the best use cases for advertising on Spotify is apparently trying to advertise your own Spotify's tracks. Oh, I need to change this. I don't want to look at this guy's face all day. Let's see here. Anyone have any idea what's going on with indexes? SPX and NASDAQ are down, but Dow is going nowhere. Trying to see if it's something about markets I'm missing. Oh, that order didn't get filled? That's interesting. So, let's see here. I still haven't gone down through like my morning stuff. Okay, maybe I'm right. So I think that what I'm seeing going on right now is that the order flow in the treasuries is not super strong. So we are kind of in the market making noise sort of a thing. So you see they moved up 3 ticks, they moved down 3 ticks. It's being quite finicky here. The order flow is a little bit sketch. Oh geez, how much is in that order there at 112.30 in the 5-year? Yeah, as my charts are informative, spreads and currencies, it doesn't make sense to remove. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like the whole thing is just get away from trying to watch the movement in price for patterns. Right? Like the only pattern that you should really be looking for is like, what is the liquidity like right now, right? So what would the answer be right now? Liquidity is very low. Orders are pulling very easily, and price is able to move around 2 to 3 ticks quite easily. It seems almost random to me. This kind of movement in the past would make me be like really anxious, like, they're doing something, they're gonna do something, it's gonna move one way or another, right? But now I understand it a little bit better. Not sure that there's a real fundamental reason for them to be trading right now, and it's just the correlations. Okay, so they hit into that order at 30. They didn't clear it, but there you go. Ooh, look at that stack at 29.5. Maybe this is stir the pot. Well, I'm a little bit suspicious of that order now at 29.5. I haven't seen a flip like that in a long time. So like a situation where it's kind of moving down and then it ticks up and there's a big bid below it. You know, so the large bid shows up in the complete opposite direction of what the trend was. I haven't seen that in the 10-year in a long time. I don't know if 2,000 contracts is that significant, but it definitely pushed them up. But now you're kind of getting the opposite of what kind of initially got us into the trade, don't we? Right? The 30-year has actually come back significantly. The yield curve is steepening. The 5-year is not quite leading yet, though. The 5 and the 10 are still in line with each other. $1,200. Oh, I didn't see that on the micro. Oh, wow, you're right. Yeah. Well, remember what I was saying the other day about, like, there's enough liquidity in the micros to actually place your trades, even though it might not seem like it. Like, these robots that are doing this, they have, like, infinite money. You know, if you really wanted to come into the 5-year and sell 1,000 contracts at some spot, like, they would they would accommodate you. Economic data during the Globex can be a bit quirky. Doesn't seem to be in the controls like in the US, and appears there are early leaks at times. Now, I haven't watched it that much, but I would agree with you. It's very rare that I wake up in the morning and say, oh yeah, there was this economic number out of the EU that was really important. It happens, but it's much more rare.
Tide presents Laundry Truths, Cold Hard Savings.
Oh, hey, about to start a load.
There's still stuff going on today about Gazprom. Gazprom's deputy CEO Markelov says, we haven't received the engine from Siemens. There are risks, sanctions risks for engines.
Even in cold.
Wow, cool tip. Get it?
Oh yeah, I get it.
Turn to cold and save with Tide. Energy savings based on average from switching from hot to cold and non-HE machines.
3M science is everywhere. It's the fall protection harness that helps keep rescue workers like New secure at any altitude so he can get home safe. It's VAC therapy, helping Dr. Apong help grandmas like Nana in their wound healing journey so she can get back to her family. It's helping underrepresented students like Samantha gain access to STEM education so they can reimagine what's possible. See how 3M is applying science to life to help people everywhere at 3m.com/3mscience.
Hey Spotifyers, click or tap the banner to listen to On Repeat. Songs you love right now, brought to you by Vitamin Water. Nourish every you.
How are we doing on our poll so far? After 14 votes, it's 50-50. What? Okay, so the yeses have it by just a little bit. I didn't think that it would be that close. I thought that you guys would like very clearly lean one direction or another. But none of you voted yes, but different station. Maybe that's just because none of you actually care what that music actually is. It's just a question of, do you like the music or not? Like having music or not. Oh, I like techno. So here's my story. When I was 19, I had to get my wisdom teeth taken out. And was one of those, when you get out of having your wisdom teeth done, you always say and do silly things, profess your love to everybody and all that sort of thing. Man, that was like the most sick. I've never felt so gross in my life as after getting my wisdom teeth done. And then, yeah, I remember getting home and like throwing up, and it was just like blood. It was just like this red stuff that sunk to the bottom of the toilet immediately. It was the weirdest looking thing, right? And I get back, and my parents had, this was right after Christmas, so it was between Christmas and New Year's. And my parents had bought me a CD called Ultra Trance 1. And I had never listened to this kind of music before. It was not my kind of music. Like, my parents thought that was my kind of music, and I don't know why. I think that it was really just like they went to the store and the guy at the store suggested it or something like that. Because I was listening to like Linkin Park at the time, right? I was listening to Linkin Park at the time. They gave me this Ultra Trance 1 CD, and I had listened to the first CD, and we were kind of like, I don't know if we really like this. First track was cool, but like after that, I was like, what the hell are we listening to, right? So I kind of dismissed it, but I decided to listen to it to try and relax while I was recovering from my wisdom teeth. And it was a trip, man. And on the second CD was Ferry Corsten's Punk, which if you've never listened to that song, man, Ferry Corsten Punk, man, that is a song. It's got a weird music video with a woman in a strip club with a boa constrictor or something like that, right? And it is very different from like all other electronic. I don't think there's ever been a track that quite has the same kind of attitude and feel as digital punk, but man, I love that. That was like one of my favorite songs now. It started out, so that was like, okay, this is good, and then I kept listening to it, and I didn't know anything about it. The second song on that CD is Cafe Del Mar, which is far and away the most famous and most remixed electronic dance music song. So, you know, it's like the songs on this CD are like the classics, really. So it was really, really good stuff anyways. But I feel like that's kind of the way that it goes for most people is you're on drugs. you listen to the music and you're on drugs and then you get hooked to it. But here was the thing is that I didn't even really I listened to it and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And then I just kind of forgot about it. And it wasn't until later, it was like a year later, I was watching some of the first live streams on the internet. Believe it or not, there actually were live streams all the way back in 2003. You had to have some crazy equipment to be able to do it, but there were people live streaming back in 2003, and it was like on Winamp. Like this was the end of the Winamp era, and Winamp had just introduced Winamp TV, right? YouTube wasn't a thing yet. And the guy on that live stream, after they would do, it was like a, you know, video game pro match sort of a thing, and after they, you know, broadcasted that, this guy would do a live stream, a live remix. So he would have like a camera and his screen. I wonder if watching him do that was maybe one of the things that inspired me to do live streaming. I don't know. But he had virtual DJ up on his screen. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's like a really cool looking Winamp. And it seems like it has some advanced functionality. Because I was all into like, what's the coolest looking Winamp skin at the time, right? So I only downloaded it because I thought it looked cool and it was a Winamp skin. And I start going through it. I'm like, oh, how do you even like play a track? So I guess I need to read the manual. So I start reading the manual and it walks you through. Okay, you put one track over here, you put one track over here, and you can adjust the BPMs of them so that they play at the same time and they match up with each other. So like once I realized what it was trying to do, because I had no idea that this was a concept. I had no clue that like when I was listening to those CDs before, that somebody had to come in and that all of those songs have a different tempo and they have to match the tempo. Like it never crossed my mind, right? But all of a sudden I was like, oh, okay, let's try it. Well, I loaded up like a Linkin Park song. It doesn't work, right? Because rock songs that are played by humans and the tempos aren't consistent. So I immediately realized like, oh, you have to use techno. You have to use techno. So I went, and the Napster was still around at this time, I think. Or maybe it was Livewire. Anyways, this was like 2003. So I don't remember if that when Napster shut down. Maybe Napster was shut down. But so I went out on Livewire and I found that CD and I looked up every artist on that CD and I downloaded every track that I could find from those artists and every track that I had heard that guy play, and I loaded those up. And then I started mixing with it, and that's how I got into it. And then I kind of started dabbling around in music, and I don't know, it just kind of grew from there. There's a lot of things that I do nowadays. Like I know a lot about the music history now. I just kind of read around and try and find interviews from artists that I knew and stuff. I feel like I know a lot about the electronic dance music world now, and it's like I don't 100% understand how I know it. My current favorites are Vibrancy by Umek and oh man, Umek is so good. Dude, I remember, when was this? Oh, it's been a long time now. I think it's been like over 6 years since I've like actually DJ'd live now. Oh, no, it hasn't been that. I think it's been 3 years since I've DJ'd live because I've done at least one since I've been married. So But I remember this one time, man. Oh, this party was so freaking weird. Okay, so I had this friend at the University of Utah that would throw parties, basically. He was really good at it too. Man, eventually he started throwing underground techno parties, you know, like at a real venue and stuff. And they brought in so many people. I was like, it was so insane. He's like, oh, dude, we've been doing these parties. You got to come and see. And I came, and I could not believe how many people there were. And it was a party all around techno, because we could never get anybody to show up for techno. I was like, how did you get all these people, dude? It was nuts. And the party was awesome. They had a Function 1 system. I mean, I think that had a lot to do with it, right? So it was a good venue, and then they had a really good sound system. A really good sound system. But this was his earlier days, and they were throwing a party, and he worked at this place that was kind of like this garden. It had like a trail. It went up the mountain a little bit. It was kind of a weird place, just off of the side of one of the major freeways. And he's like, yeah, I work there now, and they said I could throw a party there. Bad idea. Right. So they throw this party, and when I started, all they had was like this one speaker. So they're like, you know, why don't you go first, Seth? Okay, cool. So I'm just playing like pretty chill progressive stuff, you know, because there's not really anybody there. I would see, you know, kid would come, and they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, let's go explore around. They go up the trail, whatever, right? And then this group of guys came. They're like, oh, like, more sound is coming, don't worry, guys. Okay, the sound comes, so it's like a group of like 6 guys or whatever, and it is just, they have all of these speakers. Like, I think that they were just like the kind of speakers that you would have like a home stereo system sort of a thing, right? Except for that they had a ton of them. Okay. They had this ton of speakers. They set them all up in front of me, and I'm just playing this chill stuff. And they finish, and they're like, "Okay, like put something hard on so that we can hear how good the sound system is, right?" So the song at the time was "This Is Our Night" by Sanderson. I think I forget his first name. But anyways, it was kind of a dubby track, and I put that on, and when all of the kids heard the bass, they all came off of the trail, all came running off of the trail, and all of a sudden this party went from, I feel like there's nobody there, to like 200 people in front of me. I was like, what the heck? And so I played all of my hardest stuff, and it was so great. And Umek was one of the songs that I put on there. That was like one of the first songs that like Umek got to go beyond just the techno scene, I guess you could say. Umek is good stuff. And that was so good. And everybody always talked about how they always would tell me how much they loved that set. Because the thing is that after I was done, the next guy that went on like played like minimal techno, and like everybody hated it. It was like really, really weird stuff. So I was the highlight of that party. But then what happened was somebody broke into the clubhouse there and stole a television, and my buddy got fired, and we never had parties there again. Yeah, I love techno. Which is it's not really my scene either, right? I'm pretty clean Mormon guy, pretty serious in the economics and everything, right? And then it's just like we're going to raves. I would talk about it with my kids, but I don't think that my kids understand what, you know, raving is. I don't think that they understand what being a DJ entailed. Hey, that's a break of the highs there on the 10-year, and quite aggressive too, I would say. So I think that the trade that I made, I don't know if I really got the, well, maybe I did. I'm trying to sort out if this difference between the 10-year and the 5-year kind of disappeared or not. Oh, what is this going on here?
From baby cribs to car seats, you do so much to protect your young child. And now, you can protect them from COVID-19. Talk to your child's doctor about vaccines for children.
Something's coming here.
Keep the burnout at bay.
Twitter doesn't plan jobs cuts with office changes. Twitter pares back office space globally to cut costs.
Family time at Ruby's Inn.
Kind of, and it sounds like it is affecting the S&P 500. They did decline there a little bit.
Skip the theme park lines and redefine your family.
Skip the theme park lines.
Book your trip today at ruby'sinn.com. That's ruby'sinn.com.
A great scene in the Yellow Scene series when Rip was asked what he likes to listen to when he drives, and he answered the AC.
What we like to do, we're all connected because we all breathe the same air to live.
I get you.
Breathing deep on your local trail, exhaling before that perfect golf swing.
I kind of think that if we're going to do this with the music that I need a Spotify subscription though.
Do your best.
Don't you think?
Get easy tips.
I don't think I need a Spotify subscription.
And live to breathe.
There's no ads on with a Spotify subscription, right?
Registration off your summer bucket list and enjoy the rest of your vacation with over 200 degrees, programs, and certificates to choose from. That's more than 200 possibilities.
What?
UVU.edu.
Okay, hold on. What is they saying here? Seaport Global Holdings sold El Salvador debt. Tether has El Salvador government bonds. Come on, Tether, just deny it. Tell everyone that you don't have El Salvador junk bonds and that you never had El Salvador junk bonds. It's easy. Oh, okay. So he's that's not proof that they have them, but it's a pretty good. He has a pretty good idea that they do. Yeah. If there's like, dude, if they own, what about YouTube for music? I don't know if that would actually be better in that respect, though. My ad blocker might block it, though, I guess. The way the treasuries are trading here is kind of, it's, you know, remember I was saying we're going to be looking for some flows here ahead of the Federal Reserve meeting. It looks to me like it's to the upside. I'm not so sure that this is a trade that I really want to take. So I'm looking here. It does look, the 5-year did not break a new high. The 10 and the 30 did. So there's still a little bit of weirdness making me feel unconfident about this for me to try taking a short at 2.775. You may need a cap and BMI license for coverage. Well, so the whole thing is that the Spotify playlist that I'm listening to here is all music that is DMCA free and that you're guaranteed to not get any kind of copyright infraction for using. And like I'm using streambeats.com. So it's a guy here in Utah that I follow that I really like that's behind all that, and he became a millionaire off of it. It's really cool. It's a really cool story, I think. I think it's a really cool story. I think that's what to aspire to, right? But yeah, we won't have any problems with that. And yesterday we didn't have any problems. So I don't know about the ads, but presumably I think we're okay. But that's what I'm saying. Like, well, I don't think that we want to listen to the ads, right? But if you get a Spotify subscription, well, let's come here. Spotify subscription. Does it get rid of ads? Spotify Premium. Ad-free music listening. Play any song. Unlimited skips. Oh, you get individual. Add free music play anywhere. Then with a Duo, you get 2 premium accounts. Family, you get 6 accounts. And a kids app. And there's also a student plan. I have to think about it. I could just go and get the premium subscription right now, but I don't like buying something when it's like I've just barely, you know, this is the first time I've thought about getting it, right? So we'll deal with the ads for now. They did come back to that 120, so signs. I mean, the book is really weak anyways, but signs that there is a hole here and that there's going to be a lot of execution here. Let's go back and look at that trade that I did take. Oh man. Okay, so I think that my original trade on it wasn't very good. Like my original price wasn't very good. I got MAE of 4 and an MFE of 4, so there's a lot of futures expirations this week. There's a lot. There's going to be a lot of flow Thursday and Friday, man. I think that there's going to be a lot of activity Thursday. I think that you're going to see a lot of retail traders going like, what's going on? The Federal Reserve already happened. It moved X way and now it's doing the opposite, or this doesn't make any sense. I'm telling you, there's a lot of pent up flow that's going to come out. It could be the case that what happens Thursday and Friday doesn't even matter what the Federal Reserve says. It's already baked into the cake and it's just too complicated for us to sort out which way things are going to go. I kind of suspect that it's going to be a sell because the earnings haven't been good, right? I suspect that on the S&P 500 it's going to be sell, but I don't really know. Let's just kind of let the Federal Reserve happen and let it happen and then try and run with it when it happens. But there's going to be some strong flows, I think, tomorrow especially. We'll also got jobs claims too, which, you know, that'll help give us some action too. They're talking volatility crazy this week, yeah. Hey, here's the S&P 500 opening up. By the way, I cleaned up everything on the charts and everything. How are we feeling about our ES chart? Does it look nice? We like the way that it looks. I did a bunch of stuff with my spread indicator yesterday, so it loads less data now, and I'm working on getting it to do multiple legs. So I think I've got all of the interface worked out for it to do multiple legs, and now we just need to Okay, Papyrus IQ, Gazprom cutting more European gas supply nominations. Ukraine state gas transit operator says Gazprom has booked transit capacity for July 28th at 10 MCM. And Trading Floor Audio retweets that saying, be careful everyone, could Gazprom be cutting gas deliveries to Europe for tomorrow even further? Don't know where you're at. You're too zoomed. What do you mean? We're at 3960. It's in huge numbers next to it. We could. You mean you want to be zoomed out like that? Oh wait, does this still have the other data series on? And then I probably have this. Oh, maybe it didn't. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't have it on there. I guess it didn't save. Yeah, well, that's okay. We can fix that. Line at time 7:34 dot great. Yes, okay. There we go. I mean, I can zoom out like that, but maybe not quite that much. It does kind of look like they're gonna make a little run here on the open towards the previous day's close. There are numerous problems with the volume profile of the naked chart. I don't really I mean, I find what you say interesting, live action, and I know that you've been around for a long time and you've shown me some really good stuff, right? It's just, you gotta show me, like, you know, we're gonna put something on the chart, like, I would really like some sort of study or something to be able to back up doing it, you know what I mean? That was a, you know, when the S&P 500 kind of started moving to the downside, the Treasuries took a good jump there. So remember I said 2.775, but I didn't feel confident enough about it to take a trade. I should have done it. And do you think that that could continue up? Well, remember that yesterday we touched 120.16. 120.16 is where, like, longer term resistance would maybe come into play. But I mean, look, there I go, putting, you know, talking about a chart pattern, right? Resistance based on a chart pattern. So I don't know. Wait, what is this? Which I just heard an economist prediction. It wasn't anything all that interesting, but I just want to know who it was.
Tide presents Laundry Truths, Cold Hard Savings.
Oh, hey, about to start a load. On hot? You know, washing in cold water with Tide can save you up to $150 a year on your energy bill.
$150? Go on.
The lower the temp, the lower your bills. Simple. Plus, Tide Pods are designed for a powerful clean. Cold.
Wow, cool tip. Get it?
Oh yeah, I get it.
Turn to cold and save with Tide.
So
Energy savings based on average.
It seems to me there is still a pretty strong liquidity hole here at like 120. It seems to me that this pop was probably driven by these Gazprom headlines and so forth. TD, I forget who TD is. We see Bank of Canada hiking 75 basis points in September.
The flavor says it all. Rice-A-Roni Heat and Eat. Tap the banner to learn more.
Picture it. Light beer.
Let's see if Bitfinex is going on here. Ricardo Valencia. With finance minister's words in mind, it appears Bukele's promise to buy back sovereign debt has two goals: a PR campaign to show liquidity, hard to believe, and heating the bond market to increase price for bondholders who bought cheap, aka Tether. Seems inside trading to me. Bitfinex says Tether bought El Salvador bonds knowing that El Salvador is going to try to push to buy some back, and they can make a profit even if the bonds are beyond junk. That's what they're accusing them of doing. I find this story so interesting. I guess I just really hate Tether. I don't know. I'll have to send you an in-depth email. Okay, but if I mean, I need like stats or studies or something. You know what I mean? Maybe I'm kind of eyeing 770 now. Yeah. S&P 500 is turning up now, though. Oh, look at that. Huh. No, I'm not so confident. Okay, so somebody just bought about I'm gonna say around 50 contracts on the micro 10-year, and then they started moving back down. But the S&P 500 is kind of flipped to the upside, but it still looks a little volatile and unclear what it's doing. The cumulative delta is very clearly to the downside. So I'm not so sure about this. It does kind of look like they're trending up here pretty okay. I feel like a short on rates could make sense, but I think that in the current circumstances that the current price would probably be not the best. Man, I don't know. The spoos are fighting here. They're all kind of fighting here. I don't know. The treasuries may just be sliding around because the liquidity just looks like absolute poop. But the E-mini is fighting here, so. Goldman sees the pound hurt by Bank of England's more timid stance on rate hikes. See, 765? 770 would have been so much better, right? If I had my order out there at 770, I might have gotten filled. Oh man, are they just gonna bust through here to new highs just like that? And this while the S&P 500 is still rallying pretty hard, although the cumulative delta is negative in the ES, so that's either there's a divergence here. There's definitely a divergence in the S&P 500. We'll see which side wins. Starting to see why they say treasuries are like watching paint dry? No, it's not. It's quite exciting. You didn't see that they broke a new high? That looks like they're gonna do it again. The thing is with the treasuries is that if all you're watching is the price, then it is gonna seem like that, right? You just got to think of it as like one tick here in the 10-year is equal to like 4 ticks over here in the ES, right? So if you consolidated the tape over here, it wouldn't move as much either, right? But is this little back and forth here, does that really matter? Not really. You know, so over here, the same thing is going on inside of the prices that you can't really see. And so the way that we can see it is with the bid and ask instead. So when you're watching the bid and ask and you're constantly following how many orders it takes for it to move up and so forth, then it becomes more interesting. Oh, you're right. We do get Chicago PMI. Totally. No, wait. No, we don't. Do we? Why do you see that? No, I don't have that on my list here. No, I don't have that on my list, but pending home sales month over month is at the top of the hour. So you see what I'm saying? Like it seems like I could maybe pull a trade out if I had gotten a better price, but up here it's being difficult. So I think I had a trade there, and I just maybe unnecessarily dismissed it. I mean, I pointed it out and I said why I was unsure and kind of sat on it. Now that it happened, now action looks a lot less favorable. Like the action that I'm seeing right now is like, I think that the treasuries could continue to trend up. Who knows? Maybe they'll make it to yesterday's high, but it's getting a little volatile. So it's kind of harder to find a spot where you're not going to take much excursion, right? Oh, you were looking at the wrong week. No, I have on my calendar, I have pending home sales month over month forecast -1.1 at the top of the hour, and crude oil inventories is what's coming up. See, I guess 770 would have worked too. So you did get the fill on the other side. Now, the one issue with this trade, even though we're seeing pretty good flows to the upside, the cumulative delta in the 10-year is not in line with that. It looks like that the buying in the 10-year is a little bit more passive. Is the music a little bit too loud? I can bring it down like 3 decibels. Do I have oh, I do have a compressor on it. Yeah. I might have the attack on that a little bit too aggressive, but I'm buying disco lights. Should get my lights synced up to it somehow. So we were talking about this earlier, NASDAQ killer. On this particular circumstance, I'm not sure if we're gonna get anything too significant from the FOMC. Like, I think they're gonna do a 75 basis point hike. I don't think that Powell's gonna say anything too incredibly interesting. The potential is definitely there though, right? So he could say something that just like completely makes or breaks the market. Because on one hand, he could say we're getting really concerned about economic weakness, and that may mean that we don't raise as aggressively now. Or he could say, well, our job is just to handle inflation, right? Next month is still going to be a high rate increase and all this stuff. Right, that could have a dramatic effect on the market. But I think that the bigger thing here is if they don't say anything, I think you're still going to see pretty significant flows. Like, you're probably going to see a lot of volatility today after the meeting, and you're probably going to see a lot of flow tomorrow and Friday. There is just pent up flows here. Is the volume a little bit better there? I don't know if chill step is actually the best. I don't know if it's actually the best for voiceover, but whatever, we're running with it. Where are we at on the poll, by the way? Oh, we've got 19 votes now. 19 votes. I don't know, guys. It looks like the no's are winning right now. It's kind of gone back and forth. It's still really close. But how come nobody is saying yes but different station? Narrative could result in soft landing versus too aggressive in a rate hike. Well, so I'm leaning to the downside. Like I'm right now for the S&P 500 and I guess I would say in the Treasuries too. Well, no, actually I guess I can't say that. I'm concerned that he's going to be hawkish. He's still going to be very hawkish, and that the equity markets could really puke because of that. And I suppose the Treasury markets could too, because I'm kind of sitting here like below 2.75 now. I'm not so sure that's correct. I don't think that the Federal Reserve is going to reduce interest rates anytime soon.
Gain access to STEM education so they can
So I am a little concerned that he says something hawkish, that the Treasuries sell off hard, and that triggers a sell off in the S&P 500. That's just kind of that's like highly speculative. That's not enough information behind that to take a trade, but that's kind of the speculative thing. Like that's the worst thing that could happen, right? If Powell was really hawkish, it would move a lot more than if he was really dovish, right? If he was really hawkish, it could just like absolutely decimate this market.
More advanced and more
So that's kind of what I'm seeing.
2022 Chevy Silverado rolls, delivering more towing capacity, more torque, and new tech advancements to help keep you confident, in control, and fully connected. The new interior is redesigned with an updated cabin, bigger and brighter infotainment touchscreen, and improved comfort for the long haul. Chevy Silverado, make your story a strong. Find new roads at your Rocky Mountain Chevy dealer. Click now to learn more.
I guess we need to up the activity in the futures trading Discord. Oh, this guy asked a good question. How much of the U.S. economy is based on natural gas? I don't know, but like the thing is, NASDAQ killer, is the United States has more natural gas than they know what to do with. So the natural gas prices isn't such a big deal for the United States. It is a problem for Europe because Europe didn't want to drill any of it. Yeah. Natural natural gas is a trade that I've kind of been eyeing for a long time because cars could run on natural gas and would run much cleaner and would be more efficient. And it's just kind of a, oh, will that one ever happen? But then electric vehicles became a thing. Like there's just kind of always been this trade that like maybe natural gas will be worth a lot more in the future. But in the US, that trade continues to kind of not go anywhere because it's just so easy for them to drill more natural gas here. So, and that's why here again, when you look at the NQ futures, not NQ, what is the natural gas one? NG, sorry, NG. When you look at NG, you know, in the US, it's been going up, but it's been a little weird, you know, it's because of that. Coal is making a comeback. It is really sad that many economies pushed green too quickly, pushed out the other energy sources before these renewables were really ready, if they ever will be, to be frank with you. And that actually ended up in more emissions in the long run. Yeah. This is a nice track. What's this one? Yeah, Germany keeps closing their nuclear. Dude, the closing the nuclear plants thing is so dumb. Like, is really like when you see countries and municipalities closing down their nuclear power plants, that's what really tells you that all of this stuff that's going on is political and not actually driven by the science, right? Man. See, now you kind of triggered my politics, right? And now I'm triggered, and I have to say that the uncomfortable things, right? The left has gone on for so long about follow the science and all of this sort of thing, but the reality is that the left is very willing to overlook science when it conflicts with their politics, and the best example of that is nuclear power. The cleanest, most efficient, most feasible and realistic solution to the world's energy problems are nuclear power. And we have underinvested in nuclear power for 50 years. We could literally, this whole energy crisis situation, pollution problem, etc., could have been completely avoided if back in the 70s we just kept making nuclear power plants and just made them better. Like, seriously, think about that. It's 2020. It's been 50 years. It's been 50 years since 3 Mile Island, right? And our nuclear power plants have not really progressed at all. And that's 50 years that we could have been investing into that energy. And if we had kept investing in that energy, we would probably have more energy from our nuclear power plants than we knew what to do with. Like, it's really stupid. And who's driving that? It's activists on the left that are concerned about nuclear waste when it's really not a problem. Yeah, people keep bringing up the waste as an argument too, sadly not realizing the waste is also an energy source. Yeah, and that the amount of waste that it produces is not very much, and that we have a very, very well... what was the word that I'm looking for? We have a dump for it that solves that problem. Like that problem has been solved. Okay, Yucca Mountain. They built Yucca Mountain. It works. There's and why have you been listening earlier? Why are you saying that? I could set up an interview with somebody. The people that I would set up interviews with, though, might not be the people that you expect. Oh, you just... So there was a guy that on another YouTube channel that had reached out at one point, and I looked at his website, and his marketing was not up to my standards, and so I told him no. And there's somebody else that did an interview with him that was kind of like, oh, okay, kind of had me, it kind of threw me off. So that's why I'm like, wait, did you come in earlier and said that just to mess me up again? Man, back to 120. Did I call that one or what? I was like, I think that it's going to continue going up, but I think the pullbacks are getting too bad. I don't think this is good spot to try and trade it now. Funny interview of left politician not understanding or aware where electric car power. Yeah. I have seen some good analysis about looking at it all over, and that in the end electric cars are more efficient, but it's just not like the problem is, where does the power from the power plants come from? And it still comes largely from fossil fuels. It's like the problem is renewables are not reliable enough to power the grid the way that these people want. It just doesn't work. You need nuclear power, guys. Nuclear power would just solve all the problems. And like here's the thing that really makes me mad is that there is nuclear power ideas out there that are like revolutionary changes in nuclear power. So making smaller plants, thorium reactors, liquid salt, molten salt reactors. These are all things that are like in development right now, and the development of them could be faster, and the government is basically kind of standing in the way of that development. Yeah, chat with traders. Yeah, that was a great channel. I think that, you know, when I did that interview with Gary Norton, I thought that was so good. I mean, I enjoyed doing that so much. But just from the perspective of like what kind of information is there to read about it and stuff, I felt like that my perspective as, you know, understanding a lot of research out there and understanding a lot about order flow, and just kind of being a trader. And I'm not the pro guy, right? Like a lot of these people, like we have to understand where we fit in the scene, right? Because I'm not the guy that's on CNBC regularly, right? And I'm not sure that I'm ever going to be on CNBC, right? I'm just a regular guy that's just trading alongside you guys, right? So I felt like that gave my interview a very, very different kind of feel to it than other interviews that I've seen. So when I did that, I said, yeah, I should continue to do interviews, but I wanted to do these other things. I wanted to do all the order flow videos and focus on those first. And I did that, and that was good. Now I think I really need to focus on the Treasuries videos. The host just resigned because he said full-time trading is time-consuming? Really? Well, I guess we can do that. I've got some people I wanna talk to. So, but the thing, well, I might actually kind of reduce my burden to some extent. But the thing is that I don't have a ton of information on this channel about the actual treasury market, which is like the primary thing that we do. Like all of that information that I share with you guys ends up being on the stream. So I feel like that's a really big hole in our content. And I don't know if that's something that YouTube is really going to pick up on and is going to get a lot of views. Our order flow series did really well. Order flow series did really, really well. Yeah. And by the way, if you haven't watched and or liked and commented on our video this week about the micro treasury futures, please go and give that one a look and leave a comment on it. You know, because we want those videos to do well. Like my goal right now is quite literally get more people trading micro treasury futures. I really strongly believe that there's some good opportunities here for retail traders, and that the retail trading community will be significantly improved by bringing in more micro treasury futures traders. So I just want to see you geek out on something. Yeah. Well, so if I go into interviews, I'm gonna probably focus on people that are gonna have more to say about trading monetary policy and or scientific research, right?
Because with rice-a-roni,
Those would be the guys that I would focus on. So it would be a different group of people.
says it all. Rice-a-roni, heat and eat. Tap the banner to learn more.
Like, the thing that bothers me about the retail futures trading community is that the people that we should be looking up to. So like most people come in their futures trading, right? They're going to look at people on YouTube like myself, people on Twitter like Futures Trader 71, for instance. Maybe the people that they see on TV, and they're going to be like, those are the good traders, and those are the people that I want to emulate, right? But that's not the top people in the space. The top people in the space are people that are like the retail trading community knows absolutely nothing about. They're not. Many of them are not public, and many of them are just at institutions. So like that's kind of the thing, is that we're so cut off from the institutions that most retail futures traders don't even know who the top players in our space are, which is really quite astounding, right? So the people that I would be trying to get would be like the people that created these firms and stuff. or people that are more interest rates focused. I'll set some up. I can think of one right now. I'll set up. That would be really good to talk to right now. Well, I wonder. I think I can see the case for another leg up here in the Treasuries. But it's a tough one. Could you take 2.77 right now, I suppose? But the decline that we've seen so far is not enough for me to say like the trend is over. And we had that leg was at 743, so we could in the next 30 minutes there could be another leg up. Would totally all be in line for that, right? So I guess we should maybe stock that a little bit, but at the moment I think I'm leaning on just not taking on risk today. Let's come back to our poll. So we've had the poll open now for like what, 90 minutes? 22 votes. Yes, no. So that means 10 of you said yes and 12 of you said no. And the 10 of you that said yes are probably the ones that are watching. You say that it's still too loud? I mean, so are you having a hard time understanding what I'm saying? Sounds like you guys can understand me pretty okay, right? We just maybe need to well, I can bring it down on here. I'll bring it really down. So now we're like at negative 30 decibels. We'll do that, and then I think we'll try this for a little while, and I'll keep polling you guys about it. But some of the polls will be like which channel, right? I think let's end this poll, and we'll make a new one. Music, chill step, DNB, drum and bass, and then what else do they have? We could lo-fi. How many? Well, that's as many as I can add. So we'll do it that way. I agree with NASDAQ Killer would be cool to watch some fundamentals videos. Yeah, well, so the Treasuries video that I put out this week was kind of more of the like, here are the reasons to trade them, right? The next videos are going to be more practical. Should I say more practical? They're going to be information dense, right? So one of them I think is going to be just about the Federal Reserve, right? Because there's kind of a cycle with the Federal Reserve that I don't think everybody understands. So we're going to talk about that. But then there's going to be other ones that are like, okay, this is what a bond actually is. This is why they move the way that they do, and these sorts of things, right? Basically, we're going to get into the fundamentals behind them and why it leads to the order flows that you see, right? So I think that there's going to be at least 2, if not 3 videos on that. But in the meantime, we could try and do some interviews too in between there. It's interesting that you bring that up, and if the Chat with Traders podcast is ending, like, here's the thing though, it's a lot. I wouldn't be able to do that every week, right? I could maybe give you guys a good interview every 2 weeks or maybe once a month. I'm sure that it's a lot of work for him to put that podcast out. So I could understand why he would maybe and end up quitting. Content creation is hard, guys. It really is. Now this is interesting. I was looking there at 2.77. Okay, it's coming back there again. Right. So the spot we've been looking at is maybe if we were to sell micros, we could do it at 2.77. It's rotating across this range quite aggressively. So we might have been able to have pulled out $10 between 770 and 760 multiple times, probably. Just so you know, the channel that we're listening to right now is the Chill Step channel. So I'll leave this. Check out the poll. But pull up your browser window and vote real quick, and maybe we'll change it. So I am feeling, I mean, I think that things have been light lately anyways, but today is, we're really sparse on viewers, and I'm quite surprised that that's the case given that it's an FOMC day. So that is really interesting to me. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the thing is that if I'm gonna do interviews, like, we're gonna try and talk about complicated stuff. Like one of the things that drives me crazy is how much of the trading content on YouTube is fluff. It's like, oh yeah, it's really hard to take a trade, and you know, have a risk reward in it. But I mean, these are all things that like anybody that's traded has dealt with and so forth. And there aren't always necessarily good answers for it either, right? I want to introduce people to ideas and information that they've never heard before. You get what I mean? But we need to make more videos about current events too. Like, you know, this Federal Reserve meeting, maybe, well, if we get the right sort of thing today, maybe we will have information to try and make a video about it to put out on Monday about the Federal Reserve. Because the big thing is like, what is the September meeting going to be like, right?
From baby cribs to car seats, you do so much to protect your young child. And now you can protect them from COVID-19. Talk to your child's doctor about...
Oh, now you can protect them from... Oh, it's a child vaccine commercial. Okay.
Utahns are all
okay.
unique. But no matter who we are and what we like to do, we're all connected. Because we all breathe the same air to live. Whether you're breathing deep on your local trail, exhaling before that perfect golf swing. This
Jim guy, I think he's another one that I would like to... Oh, you know what? By the way, NASDAQ killer. What is it called?
And live to breathe.
If you're looking for a new home or a place that better fits your needs, check out Woodside Homes, a local home builder for over 40 years. Visit woodsideutahspotify.com to see all our open and coming...
What is this? What is hold on a second. Hold on a second. I'm gonna find it for you.
Make your home unique to the life you live. From spa bathrooms to work plus spaces, Woodside Homes will fit your lifestyle. Start building your new home by visiting woodsideutahspotify.com. Woodside Homes. Let's get you home.
Hey UVU students, check registration off your summer bucket list and enjoy the rest of your vacation. With over 200 degrees, programs, and certificates to choose from. That's more than 200 possibilities. Visit uvu.edu and get registered today.
Where does it come from? Anyways, well, I'm not 100% sure where you watch it, but Jim, I don't know how you freaking say his name. Jim, I before I interview him, I have to figure out how to say it. But Jim Iorio has a podcast called the Future's Edge podcast, where he interviews people, which might be a suitable replacement for Chat with Traders. Yeah. So they're going. Are they going? Yeah, and it's about time. Well, it's actually maybe a little bit early. But the Treasuries do seem to be lining up like they're going to go for another step. So, what do you think? Was I too dismissive of it early? Or sorry, not dismissive. I don't think that I dismissed it, because I think I took it really, quite seriously. I was just... Am I too chicken today? Have I been too chicken today? Because we could have pulled a little bit out of this. I guess when I look at this, like, it has been a strong trend and all, but from the time that we've been watching and so forth, it's still like the same 10 ticks or so over and over again. Only now are we getting a little bit below that in 15. So the reward that was in it is not super great. So I don't think that I should be that concerned about missing it. But Maybe it's just primarily on Spotify. Because I see people like, there's like are some YouTube videos, but the only thing that I see Jim actually linking is the Spotify. Oh yeah, I totally missed by the housing report, huh? It was negative 8.6 versus negative 1. The action in the S&P 500 is a little confusing, isn't it? So like here the first hour or so it has been up, but it's kind of been gentle. I think what's going on though is it seems to me like people are placing bets on the Federal Reserve being dovish today, which I'm not so sure that they actually are going to do that. I don't. So like I can see all of the stuff going on in the economy that makes people like be pessimistic, although I think that the market is more pessimistic than the fundamentals justify. But what I don't see is the thing that's going to cause the Federal Reserve to back off of their current plans. But like the market seems to be convinced that after September they're going to stop. So that's again where I'm like, okay, but that might not be what happens. And if that's not what happens, there's going to be like some really scary repricing across the whole yield curve, right? There's going to be some really, really scary pricing across the yield curve. Oh, I didn't realize that there's another guy that does it with them. Bob Iacino. I guess I'll follow this guy. Bob's good. Well, what's kind of his specialty? Thing is I've never watched their podcast, but I hear good things about it, I guess you could say. We got like I'm going through my head here. He's been everywhere on TV. I'm sure that these guys all have, like, you know, some agent that gets them on TV or anything. But, like, you know, you're talking about guys that have done things much more professional than myself, right? My PR guy got me gigs on TV, but I hated it. Wait, why did you retract that live action? Oh, man. Now, if you've really been on TV, then you really better send me that detailed. Okay, here's like some actual empirical evidence about why you should set your chart up one. Well, here's one thing that I do know is that when I was at Goldman, they did tell me to not color your charts, like to have candles that were filled or not filled in black and white, and not green and red, because that triggered an emotional reaction in you somehow. They did tell me that one. But I've ignored it because I just love the blue and orange scheme. Yeah, you did kind of tell me that, didn't you? But I don't know. I feel like what you're saying is different. I could be wrong, but I feel like what you're saying is, you know, set things up this way, and you will just kind of get a sense and feel for which way it's going to go from watching the chart and make good trades that way. And what I was basically told was that chart patterns were not really very useful in telling you which direction things were going. Although there were some chart patterns that kind of signified certain kinds of liquidity conditions that could be favorable or unfavorable to their trades. And that the reason they didn't want to have any kind of emotional reaction to a blue bar or a red bar was because they didn't want that to be the primary determinant in their decision making, because their decision making had to be more about what the current liquidity conditions were, and thus what the correct way to execute your block order was, right? In other words, it was not suggesting that there was an actual edge to be derived from the chart. It was more like the chart was a necessary thing for you to be able to remember where things had been, and we're just trying to minimize how much it actually influences you. Does that make sense? That was kind of the impression that I got. Like the things that the block traders told me was basically like,
kids are hungry.
there's these guys out there and they know which way it's going to go and they take these trades, and it's like really scary how good they are at it, and I don't really know how they do it. I just know how to execute the most efficiently.
Flavor. Rice-A-Roni Heat and Eat speaks for itself. Because with Rice-A-Roni Heat and Eat, the flavor says it all. Rice-A-Roni Heat and Eat. Tap the banner to learn more.
Step out and step up to Cambria Hotels and find bliss.
True, but they do help far too much to explain. Best advice, ask why every move and do your homework with screen time. Well, I do agree with that. You should look at every move and ask why. I agree with that. I think that if you got a strong trend in one direction, that you should really try and figure out why that is. It's not like you're able to figure that out every time, but I do think that you should try and sort it out. That's how you learn.
On the top trending playlist on Spotify.
Like the technical trader tells you it doesn't matter why it moved, because you can just see it in the price action and yada yada yada. And I think that this is the most damaging advice that people give in the trading industry, because it's preventing you from learning the fundamentals, essentially, right? So the way that you learn is, okay, here's what happened today. What were some of the things that drove that? Was it rebalancing flows? You know, what were the predictors of order flow that you could have taken a trade off of that from, right? That's how you learn. And if you just take it from the perspective of like, okay, what was the chart setup? Then you never learn that stuff. And so you end up with these people that have been trading for years and years and years and don't know a darned thing about the market that they're actually trading. That's like 5 wasted years, right? That they could have been reading the news and everything there is, every information that they can about that particular thing, and kind of seeing the patterns in the fundamentals of that market itself, and they would be so much further ahead. It is frustrating. But that's what I'm saying. Again, like if I interview people, I'm not going to talk about charts or volume profile, right? And I don't necessarily want to talk about, you know, the mechanics and psychology of trading. Here's oil right now. We are seeing some dollar strength today, by the way. So this move up in treasuries, I think that there's a couple of things about it that kind of don't seem to match up. I'll show you, okay? So we are seeing some strength in the dollar here today. But when I come over to the chart, like I think like 6J is getting creamed, right? 6J is getting creamed. Euro is getting creamed. It's just like the dollar is strong. Okay, so I suppose you could say that we're seeing treasuries move up for the same reasons that we're seeing the dollar move up. Perhaps that is flight to safety, right? But typically, if the Japanese yen is moving down, we'd see treasuries move down as well. That's not what's happening. So it's flight to safety trade. Probably, but then what? The S&P 500 is going up, so what gives? I just don't know how. Not quite sure where that comes from. And then the other thing is that the gold is down, right? So if interest rates are going lower, shouldn't that mean gold becomes more valuable? But that's not what's happening either. So the correlations that I'm seeing today are a little weird. And I think that still puts me in a place where I'm really weary about really trying to take it a swing here. My understanding is that hedge funds make more money trading than the banks because there's less regulatory hurdles and communication back and forth between teams is more seamless. Well, they make more money trading, yes, but that's because the banks largely don't trade, right? So the banks, if they're involved in as much as they touch the markets, they are either executing for somebody else or market making. Okay. They don't take their own speculative trades like a hedge fund does. And there is just straight up more money in speculation than there is other things, right? You can make big money in speculation. So I think that what you're saying is likely to be true. That from trading overall, that a lot of these hedge funds make more money than the banks do, yes. I don't know if that means that they make more money overall because the banks have a lot of other activity that's really valuable, right? So mergers and acquisitions kind of stuff. All of the functions of a corporate bank though are very lucrative. So are many different kinds of traders. I don't know. I really think that the simplest way to group traders are there are informed traders, there's market makers, and there's noise traders. So if you're trading chart patterns, you're a noise trader. If you're trading order flow patterns, frankly, you're a noise trader, right? Because market maker is basing their decisions primarily on like correlated assets and arbitrage and so forth. And I put all the basis traders out there under the umbrella of market makers. Right. And the speculators are the informed traders. Oh, did they do this live? No. Oh, this is something different. Okay, whatever. Well, I only got like 5 votes on the music, but the majority of you guys are saying house. House and lo-fi. I'm sad. I would prefer to listen to drum and bass. I picked this one because I feel like this was more financial. Does that make sense? But we can, I'll leave the vote open, but I'll open up. Let's listen to the house one and see what the house is like. Might need to turn it down a little bit, huh? They gonna touch 120 again? Oh, they did touch it. Okay, they did touch it. And the 5-year took a little bit deeper of a dive too. It kind of looks to me like what happened here was that people were kind of like anticipating another leg up. Like I said, there was a possibility for it to happen, and it didn't really come through, and so they gave up on it. Like, it's kind of what it looks like to me. I don't know. You guys really still want the house, huh? I mean, I do like that it's a little bit more upbeat, but I feel like it's a little too cheesy. You need more like a progressive house. You need a more progressive house. We recently highlighted the fact that if markets put in a major low here, it would be the first time in recent history that it happened without significant fiscal/monetary support, says Spot Gamma. Interesting.
Protect your young child. And now you can protect them from COVID-19.
Oh, and what did Steve Leishman come and say? I was just promoting something. How about some banjo? I don't think that's a choice. I don't think that's one of the options, unfortunately.
For over 40 years. Visit WoodsideUtahSpotify.com to see all our open and coming soon communities throughout the Wasatch Front. We know there is a floor plan and price suitable for everyone.
I am kind of wondering. I don't know.
You live. From spa bathrooms to work plus spaces, Woodside Homes will fit your lifestyle. Start building your new home by visiting WoodsideUtahSpotify.com. Woodside Homes. Let's get you home.
Don't tell me.
Still need health insurance? You can enroll or change plans if you have.
It has just been a much lighter stream today for whatever reason. So I do kind of wonder. See, the thing with the music is that I think the way that it is like probably 50% of you guys like the music and 50% of you guys don't like the music. But the 50% of you that like the music are still going to watch without it, and the 50% of you that don't like it aren't going to watch with it. You get what I mean? And so it ends up being, well, then you don't want to put music on.
Good for all fountain drink sizes up to large.
But I don't know.
Exclusive. Maverick. Adventure's first stop.
It has been a lighter week just because, we started out, we were doing a lot of, messing around with charts and things like that. But so we're probably a little lighter today because of that too. But I'm just usually we have good activity with the FOMC. I'm kind of wondering. I mean, there was a lot of eyes on the last Federal Reserve meeting, right? When we increased interest rates 75 basis points, what it was. And I mean, that was because there were so many big changes just ahead of the meeting. So maybe that means that this one is not going to have as much interest around it. But September, it ends up being like the inflection point, right? Because based on their market pricing, the market is basically saying that like September is like as far as they're going to be able to go. Or that maybe they do 50 in September and 25 in November, and then that's as far as they go. But you get what I mean? But by September, we should have a very clear idea of what that entails, right? And if the market is wrong about it, again, there's going to be a very significant repricing across the curve. Let's see here. I feel like I'm missing a few things. Oh yeah. Okay. So first thing, I should ask you guys to like the stream. Liking the stream really helps. Okay. So I appreciate that. Depends on your level of screaming. You need some TA dudes to tee off on them. I mean, we could do a live debate with some TA traders, but I don't know if that's really all that interesting anymore. Typical anemic ahead of big money meeting, hesitant entering. Yeah, really is live action. I mean, I don't know if that explains why like viewer activity is lower today, but that's what I think is kind of weird. So like I would expect trade activity to be low, but I would expect there to still be a lot of eyes on the market. And it seems like people have kind of lost interest in the Federal Reserve, right? Well, if the Federal Reserve has to back off on raising interest rates, then that'll perk their interest up real quickly, won't it? I don't know, guys. Like, so far the house has just kind of been meh. It's been kind of meh for me. It is a house, but it's kind of like it's a really second-rate house. So I think part of my problem here. Sharp as Goose is like, yeah. Like this is just such a stereotypically, like this sounds to me like they don't regularly produce house. They produced it because that's what they needed for their library. You get what I mean? You think some front running yesterday attempting to get range on entry? It could have been. Today's Fed meeting is going to be so interesting. Right? It's going to be so interesting. This is like these Ministry of Sound. Yeah, Pacha. I'd say more Pacha, but yeah. I mean, it's got the house piano. I don't know how loud this is to you guys, but down at 35, you probably can barely hear it. Can put it up like 0 dB. That might help a little bit. Probably will need to, adjust settings over time and stuff to get the sound just right. That might be a big factor. I'm wondering if lo-fi might be a better pick, though. We listened to a few of those. Let's try lo-fi for a second. All right. No, actually, let's do this. Always open. There you go. It's a little more chill. I do kind of get the desire for something a little bit more upbeat, but that's what drum and bass is for, boys. But right now I think is a time to relax, right? You put on drum and bass when like something's actually happening. The lower the better. Well, you don't want it so low that you can't actually hear the... So there's an interesting thing, which is that low-powered sound waves, our ears don't hear as well. So you have to have a lot more volume and power behind them to hear them very well. So what will happen is when you get like volume really low, you only hear the highs. Right? So if I had it too low, all you would just hear is like, the hit hats. But I don't know. When it comes to house, I'm more of a progressive house kind of guy, I guess. I like my Anjuna. I would totally play Anjuna beats here for you guys, but they don't have it set up for YouTube. They have it works for Twitch, but not for YouTube. Oh yeah, that's probably why the house sounded kind of bad. Yeah, lo-fi works really well for voiceover. It really does. So I don't know if trance would work very well for voiceover either. Techno is probably the way that you really want to go. They don't have a techno though, do they? Seven Bliss is a good project. Oh, it has to be stream safe. That's kind of the limiter. Didn't oh, that's right. He had. Okay, hold on a second, because there's some other streamers that kind of tried doing the same thing that Harris did. But I don't think that they did the same kind of music. I think they did more rock and roll and stuff. OTT. Wait, what is he using? Oh, okay. I clicked on a video to see if I could find his stuff, and he was using OTT in the video, and I'm like, is it gonna be an unironic use of OTT? Because, like, I don't know. Oh, man. Metal since the 80s. Maybe that's all. That's what it was. Reddit. We should do better with Reddit. What do you guys think about Reddit? So I made a channel. I made a subreddit for order flow, and some people have come in and posted stuff on order flow, but I'm wondering if we should just I don't know, maybe it should just be a subreddit for me, or maybe it could be informed trading. I don't know. You know? Like post kind of some of the stuff that we see on Discord. I don't know. There's two. Yeah, there actually there is, because mine is the one that's spelt right. Let's see if I point it through here. Yep, it's r/order flow spelt normal, but you can see there's not that much activity in it. Right? Not that much activity in it. So then somebody was like, oh, we'll start our own sub. And what was theirs called? I don't know if it was like order flow. Oh, order flow _ trading. And I think that theirs is probably at least recently more active. No, theirs is still pretty low activity as well. But they were posting it like, oh, here's this volume profile. I think here's a trade or some, or insinuating that there was a trade there and not actually showing you what the trade was. And yeah. Like I want a subreddit where we can talk about Federal Reserve policy and trading like we talk about here, but on Reddit. I mean, we have a pretty good thing going on Discord. I don't know. Discord has been quieter because I haven't been chatting as much. It really is weird to look at the S&P 500 and see that they're up like maybe 20 points on the session, and that's like a super teeny tiny move for the S&P 500. Because I remember when it was like getting 4 points was hard. Something like the Forex sub, but moderated and not full of silly posts. Yeah. Well, I really felt like the futures trading subreddit could be that, but and it's not a knock on the people that run it, but it seems like that the futures trading subreddit is kind of hasn't gone the way that people wanted, right? Like they have a lot of regularly posted posts that nobody responds to, and then I can't post content anymore. For whatever reason, they decided that you can't post content there now. I don't. There's this thing about Reddit that I think is just so dumb. Is that and it was the same thing on Dig, is that people were against you promoting your own content. Which I think is really dumb.
Step out and step up to Cambria Hotels.
The places that do really, really well social media right now are places where you can put where you basically you're talking about you, right? Like Twitter. Okay. I can post a link on Twitter, and that's a good way of getting the word out about it, for instance, right?
Visit choicehotels.com/Cambria to see our summer offers.
I think you can post content on that. No. So let's come back and look and see if they changed it. But I was posting all of my videos on the Reddit, and it was actually helping out the channel a little bit, I would say. And then all of the sudden they changed the rules, and the rule is no self-promotion. YouTubers and bloggers posting their content will be banned.
Sweet, salty,
okay, cool. Then expect the overall content quality of the subreddit to be significantly less.
Blue Diamond almonds, super flavor, all on a superfood.
Greater than 10,000 comment camera. That's actually really high bar. Yeah, no self-promotion. But it wasn't always like that, because I was posting them for a long time and it was just fine. I think in day trading you can. Let's see here. Content creators are allowed to post, but must follow these guidelines. So yeah, I could do it on oh, there was a thread. Is technical analysis BS? Let's see what the Redditons have to say about that. I recommend you switch from a mechanical approach to a discretionary approach if you don't like technical analysis. Nope, that's the wrong approach. Enter price action now. Yeah, see, so this is the perfect example of how this goes. Let me read this to you. Okay, so this guy says technical analysis to me is the over-reliance of indicators giving you signals as to the reason why you buy or sell a security, using tools like MACD, RSI, stochastics, etc. You still draw trend lines, but you tend to do it to only recognize support resistance channels, nothing more. Price action to me is a study of a chart and its candles. So they think that the difference between technical analysis and price action is that technical analysis is lagging, for instance, right? But this is all nonsense. The way that technical analysis was originally practiced was price action. Price action is the original technical analysis to some extent, right? Their original technical analysis had a lot more to do with head and shoulder patterns and stuff like that, but dojis was a part of it too. It goes all the way back. And all of these things like MACD, RSI, stochastics, that was stuff that's only been around since the 70s. That was what happened in the 70s and 80s. People ripped all of the edge that there was out of it and it doesn't work anymore. Right? So that's what technical analysis should be defined as based on the history in Seth's opinion. But you can see how does it actually get defined by people on Reddit? The way that it actually gets defined by people on Reddit is technical analysis is technical analysis that I don't like, and price action is technical analysis that I do like. That's what it really turns into, right? Because it is discretionary, a lot of people cannot do it because they cannot control their emotions or follow through on their plan. Or maybe it just doesn't actually fucking work. Jeez. I'm so triggered. I'm so triggered. Listen, like if it's actually quote unquote technical, you should be able to backtest it and prove that it works. And the whole thing, this is the thing that I think is like really the bullshit. Okay? Like for real. Pay attention. This one is important, okay? Here's where it's like really bullshit, in my opinion, is that if it actually worked, it should be easy to follow. Like this idea that it's your emotions that get in the way of when you know you have a profitable strategy and it's your emotions that get in the way. The better your strategy is, the more effective it is, the less the psychology should matter, right? Because you can rely on the edge itself, if the edge actually freaking works, right? Like here, when I'm trading on what I would consider to be fundamentals, right? I'm not nearly in my head as much. I mean, it's still a factor. It's definitely still a factor, but I don't feel like I'm nearly in my head as much as it was when I was trading technical analysis. And I think that the reason that you get in your head is because you're trying to make sense of noise. And that's what you do. You start going crazy because like literally you're like gaslighting yourself. It's like everything that you see says that it's random and you're trying to convince yourself that it's not. The original technical analysis as done in the 1910s and 20s was more along the lines of the stock's dividend yield, and this is what the government bonds yields are. This is what their historic spread has been. This is where it is. So when I think the original technical analysis, I think the technical analysis of stock trends by McGee and what's his bucket. That to me is like the original. Like this is the thing that's kind of that's interesting about it, is that you can basically trace the history of all of this from books. This stuff really comes from books, right? There was the technical analysis of stock trends, and that was where people got chart patterns from, and that was the thing for a really long time. And then you got a Wilder's book, right? Modern TAs came out in the late 70s, early 80s. Yep. But Wilder being the most famous. And then there's like the actual bar pattern stuff. So like, candlestick charts have been around for, there you go. Japan has been doing that for like hundreds, thousands of years, right? So price action is really just kind of a take on analyzing the chart using tools that have been around for a really, really long time. And it's just kind of been rebranded is what I'm saying, right? Price action is technical analysis that has been rebranded for people that have a bad taste in their mouth from technical analysis, right? So they say, technical analysis doesn't work. Come try price action, because that's not technical analysis, but it is technical analysis. It's technical analysis with marketing. It's technical analysis with marketing. Now, order flow is a very clearly different sort of thing, because order flow is the study of the orders themselves. Okay. But in practice, a lot of people end up applying technical analysis to order flow as well. And then you come back into all the same problems. I get the distinction the comic is trying to get. Well, yeah, so the distinction is a formula for smoothing out noise that creates lag, and comparing the prices of this bar to last bar or whatever, right? Like, there is a distinction, but the question is, why doesn't technical analysis work, right? Well, because past data doesn't predict future data very well. That's all there is to it. All right, guys. Quiet session, but I've enjoyed it. We've had good discussion. So, I will see you guys in 5 hours. We will be streaming FOMC. All right, so I'll see you guys then. In the meantime, stay profitable, friends.